Would it be rude if I started like patting Justin's seat so he's like a little taller?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Larry, and this is Carter's Country. Today I got Justin Carter with me, and we're going to talk about something that's very important. There's some confusion out there about the topics, and we're going to try to clear it up a little bit. But I want to preface everything we say by letting you know that we're not lawyers. What we're going to talk about is the difference between constitutional carry and license to carry in the state of Texas specifically. And we encourage, if you're thinking about getting the license to carry, or if you're currently constitutional carry, anything we talk about, if you have any questions about it, do the research. To me, if you're going to make the decision to carry a firearm, it comes with a lot of responsibility. Part of that responsibility is not only in knowing how to handle your firearm and handle situations and avoid situations, but also to know what your legal rights are. And we're going to kind of touch on some of that today and talk about some of the legal differences in Texas between constitutional carry, license to carry, a little bit about the process of getting a license to carry in the state of Texas. But again, everything we say is based on our opinions of what we've read, and we encourage you, if you have any questions at all, do your own research. I think that is enough of a disclaimer.
That's our legal disclaimer for the day.
First, talk about what is license to carry. Someone that hasn't had the license, they're new to the state, just got a firearm, they hadn't even thought about carrying before. Kind of what is license to carry?
I mean, I think the key to focus on with a license to carry is it's an actually regulated, permitted license from the state of Texas that you have to go through an actual qualifying class, a background check, fingerprints, and actually a process to receive, an educational process as well. I mean, key to remember that we always let everybody know is we offer the class twice a month here at our Northside store at the range. It's about a 5-hour class. One Saturday and one Sunday each month it's offered here. You can sign up online, or you can sign up in the store, or you can call us anytime and get signed up to take the license to carry class. The license to carry class, since you go through a qualification process, gives you a reciprocity in other states across the United States, as well as it allows you to carry a gun in what are now considered restricted areas in regards to constitutional carry.
Right.
There's a lot of places that people think they can carry with constitutional carry that they can't necessarily carry because they don't have a license to carry.
Right.
So that's the critical point, is figuring out your legal rights, like you mentioned, and then also remembering that at the end of the day, your right to carry a gun is only governed by your ability to use it efficiently when needed.
Right.
We always encourage a knowledge base on the different circumstances in which you would have a gun on you.
Right. If the only reason you're carrying is because you have the right to carry, that's not really, there's so much more to it than that. You really need to, you owe it to yourself, your family, to really dig deeper than saying, well, since I can, I'm going to.
Yeah.
So a lot of responsibility goes with that. And I really hope people through this, through learning about the class, through doing their own research, will kind of embrace that a little bit, accept it, and meet the level of responsibility that I think a person should have before they decide to carry.
You're going to have to go through a shooting proficiency test to get your license to carry. That's the reason. I mean, you don't necessarily, I don't recommend buying a gun the next day going to get your license to carry, because if you don't know how to use a gun, if you're not comfortable with a gun, it's going to be very apparent to your instructor, and that's not a class that you're learning how to shoot a gun.
Right, that's a great point. It's not a shooting class.
It's not a shooting class, and a lot of people think that. And I try to warn everyone, it's not a learn how to shoot a gun class.
Right.
It is, you're proving that you can. It's like a driver's license. You've done your time with the gun. You understand it. Like with your driver's license, you get a permit. You have certain restrictions on that permit, and you walk through the process.
It's a great analogy on a lot of different levels.
Yeah, no, it's scary how close they are.
If the path to getting your license to carry, you covered a lot of it. And of course, I took my class here a few years ago. You go through classroom instruction. You'll take a written test, multiple choice test based on the lecture and the classroom time spent. Demonstrate an understanding of all the material that the state of Texas has said is required in order to get the license. Then you move on to shooting proficiency. You made a great point. The shooting proficiency test should not be your first time to shoot that handgun. Go out to a range, practice. The proficiency test doesn't require you to be an expert marksman by any means, but it does require a certain level of competency that you can get through practice, through watching videos. If you're at our range, talk to one of our range guys. They can give you some pointers.
You have to be able to load the gun, unload the gun, but use the gun by yourself without anybody's assistance. It's not like you're walking in and they're going to do anything. The instructor is there just to express the commands in which you have to shoot. As they move to different distances and you're trying different proficiencies at those distances, you've got to shoot at 3 yards, 7 yards, and 15 yards. So other than that, that's the only changes that your instructor is going to present you with, and they're going to issue commands, and then you have to follow what they say.
Right.
They're not there to explain how the mag release works. They're not there to help you load the magazine. That's all got to be done by yourself in your space in a safe manner. And they're watching, where are you pointing the gun while you're working with a gun?
Right.
And that's all things that you can get disqualified for if you're not careful.
Right. And if someone's worried about being able to pass the proficiency test, you've got a target, it's 45 inches high, 24 inches wide. You've got to score a 175 out of a possible 250. The distance is, as you said, 3 yards, 7 yards, 15 yards. It isn't as high a bar as some people may think. No. If you've practiced with your firearm and you've honestly worked at getting better with it, you really shouldn't feel any anxiety about the shooting part of the test. But it is critical that you also know how to handle the gun safely, load it, unload it, etc. Yeah. It's not just the shooting part, but don't let anxiety about the shooting proficiency test stop you from coming and taking the class. Yeah. It's again, you're not expected to be a marksman like you see in Hollywood or some trick shot video on YouTube.
No,
it's basic proficiency. Don't let yourself eat up with anxiety about it. No. You can get comfortable, get in the right mindset. By the time you get to the shooting proficiency part, it'll just be another step of the process.
Yeah, and I think the key is that if you got all that stuff in the right place, the rest is I think a simple process as well, right? You need to bring in a valid driver's license. Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to get your fingerprints done, and then they're gonna do a background check. Other than the fingerprints, that's the same basic requirements it takes to have and possess a gun in in Texas and the United States as a whole.
Exactly. So those two things if you purchased a gun, you've already cleared those hurdles.
You've cleared two of the hurdles of the process. The next is the fingerprints. But
and getting the fingerprint thing, there's because a lot of company now requires fingerprints on IDs and different things. You'll have a lot of places you can go to get your fingerprints done. It's a really simple process.
Once you get done with the class, everything is pretty simplistic because it's now all online, right? The world is now at our fingertips, literally. So if you put your application in online. As you go through the process, it'll actually get you to a point where you say, here's where I live, and then they'll send you a handful of places in your same zip code that offer fingerprints that you can sign up and do. I think it's $10, give or take a little bit.
Yeah, it's $8 to $10, something like
nothing,
that.
It's not a very expensive process.
Right. I do want to say one thing about that website. There's a lot of misleading. If you just Google Texas LTC, you're going to see a lot of misleading sites that are third-party sites that are going to charge you to process application.
Everything has to say .gov.
If it says .gov, and it'll be on the bottom of the screen, but it's txapps.texas.gov. If that's not the site you're going to, stop and get to that site.
Turn around.
Yeah,
You've gone too
stop
far.
and turn around. That's something I think we should stress to people because I think a lot of people get caught up in that web of some kind of misleading websites that kind of, you could still get your license, but you're going to spend more money than you need to. It's going to be more trouble than you need to. And they may make some promises that, quite frankly, I don't think they can deliver on.
Yeah, true.
Another advantage that we have here is the experience of our instructor. I think he's been teaching this class back when it was called concealed carry license.
Bruce has been with us for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, even since I was a child running around here, I think he's been with us. So it's decades of time. He's in thousands and thousands of people he's worked with, and all of them giving glowing reviews over the past decades with us.
Yeah, another advantage that our class offers that you might not get with some other classes is you do the shooting proficiency on site. Now let's get into kind of the nuts and bolts. let's say you've gone through the class, you've done everything, you get your license to carry in the mail, you're now licensed to carry a firearm in the state of Texas. Where can you do that?
First and foremost for a lot of people is, and most people know about the 51% law, which is basically if a place or establishment makes more than 51% of their income from the sale of alcohol, you cannot have a gun in there. So the easiest term is don't take the gun to the bar.
Right, and that's one thing. When you see that 51% sign, you may be surprised because you may think of the place as a restaurant.
Yeah.
But if, like you said, 51% of their revenue comes from alcohol, I don't care if you're going there to get chicken fingers and French fries. You're at a bar, as far as the law is concerned, and you can't carry.
Obviously, there's federal buildings and other places you're not allowed to carry if you have a license to carry. I don't think that we need to get too deep into the weeds with places you're not allowed to carry with license to carry.
Yeah, and they'll talk about it in the class. There will be signage prominently at the front door of any place you go into concerning what their guidelines are as far as carry. There's a sign now that's come out since constitutional carry. You'll see 30.05. That means constitutional carry is not allowed, but licensed to carry is. That's one example of a place you can carry licensed, but not with just constitutional carry rights. If you see a 30.06, you can't carry concealed in there. A place that has the 30.06, you're usually going to also see a 30.07, which obviously is going to be you can't carry open in there.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you will see some that have the 30.07 posted, but not the 30.06. That means you can carry concealed in there. Another one that you'll see a lot of, it'll say unlicensed possession of a handgun on site is prohibited. That means if you have your license, you're fine. It basically comes down to being aware, and as you carry more, you'll get more familiar with the rules, you'll get familiar with the signs, you'll know what you're allowed to do and not to do when you're in these establishments. The sign has to be posted at the front door, and it has to be an official sign.
Yeah.
I know Bruce, our instructor here at Carter's Country, does a great job of explaining that when he goes through the class, and it's also something you're going to have to know to pass that test.
Yeah.
So it gets explained. Don't let us confuse you as we brush across the top of some of these topics. We're probably making it a little more complicated than it really is, and we should probably leave that to Bruce in the class to go through the weeds with you. Now, one thing I can speak to as far as the benefit of a license to carry, the background check when you purchase firearms in the future.
Absolutely.
If you have the license to carry in the state of Texas and you're buying a firearm, you still have to fill out the paperwork that's required for the background check to buy a gun, but the background check itself doesn't have to be done. You don't have to wait
we don't
to
process
see.
it on the backside.
Right. You're not going to have to wait for approved, denied, or delayed. The fact that the state of Texas has licensed you to carry a firearm, the federal government accepts that as an adequate and acceptable background check. So as long as you're still in legal possession of a license to carry, the background check does not have to be performed.
Correct.
And for a lot of people, that's kind of a big deal. You know, when the gun buying frenzy started in early 2020, everybody was going into stores. The NICS Center where the background checks are processed they were understaffed, and there was delays were almost automatic. You were going to get a delay. If you had your license to carry, you didn't have to worry about any of that. You know, you fill out the 4473, pay for the firearm, and leave. One thing on that license to carry that I've seen from being behind the counter, just like your driver's license, the address has to be correct on it, and it has to be current.
Yeah, that's, I mean, 95% of the time, people don't look at both of those things and are aware of that. And I mean, it's not a problem, but they need to be matching and they need to be current for anything to happen.
Right. Another thing, and I'll probably mispronounce this, reciprocity.
Reciprocity.
What that means is, there was a lot of discussion before the video about how to pronounce that, if you're wondering why we're kind of laughing. And we probably got it wrong. What that means is another state accepting Texas's license to carry as a valid license to carry in that state.
Correct.
There is no reciprocity with constitutional carry.
Correct.
If, for instance, if I'm going to, let's say, Louisiana, and I don't know if Louisiana has constitutional carry or not, but let's say I'm going to Louisiana and they don't have constitutional carry. I can only carry my firearm in Louisiana if I have a Texas license to carry.
Correct.
I know a few years ago, me and some friends went up to South Dakota on a vacation, and every state between Texas and South Dakota accepted the Texas license to carry. And there was a lot of peace of mind not worrying about, okay, am I legal? I just crossed this state line, I'm illegal. I just crossed this state line, I'm illegal. So the license to carry, it's not just the background check benefit. There's the reciprocity, nailed it, if you're going from state to state. So it's just another advantage that it has. And that's another thing that comes down to the personal decision. Do you travel from state to state? Are you find yourself in instances where you could carry one way and not the other? Does that make it worth having a license? Maybe you want to take the license to carry for your own peace of mind, that you demonstrated the proficiency, that you've gotten the education of the class. But it is each individual's choice based on how they see their responsibilities with the situations they would personally carry.
Yeah, and I think you have to take, it's a little bit of soul searching to realize like what you're wanting to do with a gun. If like you said, it's not everybody's the same. A lot of people have taken a class, passed the class, have the license, but they don't carry day to day. Right? They may carry in their car. Well, they don't need, you don't need a license to carry to have it in the car now. So there's certain laws and regulations that it's important just to know what the overarching laws and regulations are.
Right. We can't address every possibility here, and you won't find any one video that's going to address every possibility as it may pertain to you, but you can find the information online yourself.
Yeah, correct. Very, very much so.
Yeah. A misconception, a lot of people who aren't familiar with the gun world, for lack of a better description, people that have a license and people that carry aren't doing so because they're looking for trouble. It's the opposite.
Yeah,
they don't want trouble. So this misconception that everybody's out there walking around like it's the Old West just waiting for a reason, that is not, almost everyone I know carries. I don't know a single one of them that has that attitude about it. No. I really don't. It's a matter of being prepared if I need to be prepared. You don't have a fire extinguisher because you want to fight a fire. You have a fire extinguisher in case there's a fire. And it's kind of the same way. I think that's the attitude that probably 99% of people have about carrying a firearm. To wrap it up, I think in summation, I'd like to kind of go back to something we talked about at the very start, personal responsibility. There is so much to learn about carrying a gun, what your legal rights are, consequences, legal or otherwise, when you use that gun. There's just a lot, and it goes back to the personal responsibility. Before you buy the ticket of deciding to carry a firearm, make sure you understand everything involved in that ride that you're about to go on.
It's important.
So you don't get blindsided by something after the fact that you find out, man, I really wish I'd have known this ahead of time. I'd have done something different. For instance, if you're taking the class, there's 4 hours of lecture about things that we haven't even we've just brushed across here. There's a lot of learning to do, whether you want to take the class and learn that way, or whether you want to go with constitutional carry. There's still so much you need to learn, so much you need to understand. The internet's out there. Find it all out. Be sure that you know the things you need to know before you step outside the house carrying a firearm.
I fully agree. Absolutely.
Well, we've hoped we've helped and not actually confused you more with this. As always, we ask you to please give us a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to our channel so you can see new videos as they're released. And remember, if you've ever shot, shopped, or hunted with us, you're already a part of the Carter's Country family. Until next time, adios. On the next one we do, could we add if you've ever shopped, shot, or hunted with us, or you know what, if you've ever liked one of our videos, you're already a part of the Carter's Country.
That's why I take a shower at the gym more. That way, in case I slip, there's more people there.
See, that's why I would take less showers at the gym. If I literally bust my butt in a shower, I don't want any witnesses. In fact, I would never talk about it, especially when the microphone clipped on me.
Yeah, this is definitely going in a blooper.
This camera just gets the best of us.
So it does.